Good afternoon and welcome to the third webinar in our series of Circular Economy, Education in Built Environment and Other Disciplines. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ushaya Raniga and I'm Professor at the School of Property, Construction and Project Management at RMIT University. I'm also co-lead of the One Planet Network's Sustainable Buildings and Construction Program for the UN. This work has been funded by PROSPERNet, which is an arm of the United Nations University based in Japan. Before we begin, I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the lands where I'm sitting from today. They are the Woiwurrung and the Boonwurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nation, and I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Our agenda for today is as follows. I will commence with an introduction, and I'll also introduce the course that we undertook at RMIT and the underpinnings of that course, but also the overall project foundation in which this research rests on. I'll then hand it over to Olivia Ho, who will discuss in further detail about our experience of rolling out this course on circular economy in the built environment at RMIT. We will then hear from Aviruj Bhatia from TERI SAS in India on their experience of circular economy education at TERI, followed by circular economy education experience at AKSU University in Kyrgyzstan, presented by Sadikova Chinara. Our second last speaker will talk about the experience from Sri Lanka, and this will be presented by Kamini Silva from the University of Peradeniya in Sri Lanka. And last but not least, the presentation of the AIT case study from Thailand will be done by Indrajit Pal. We will then move to a Q&A session that's going to be moderated by Dr. Jungwee Park. And post the Q&A session, we will launch the guidebook, officially launch the guidebook that was developed as part of this project. Our final speaker will be Subarna Sivapalan, who will speak about the feedback from various stakeholders that we engaged with in the production of this guidebook. And I'll come back again at the end to do a quick wrap up. A little bit of housekeeping before we formally start. Please mute your microphone so that there is no background noise that disrupts the speakers. I would encourage all our speakers to keep the video on while they're speaking. Please use the chat function to share your comments or ask questions during the webinar. So the webinar session will be moderated at the end with the Q&A. Even though we'll take the question and answers at the end, you're very welcome to put your questions and or your comments as the speakers are going through their presentations. Please also note that the session is being recorded. And if you don't want to be seen in the recording, you're welcome to leave your webcam turned off. Having said that, at some point in the presentation, we will ask you to all leave your cameras on so that we could take a joint photo of the webinar, and we can use that. We will want to use that for communication. So now onto the project. What is this project about? We've called it Circular Economy Integration into Built Environment and Other Disciplines. The background to this project goes back many years. We started with a project for the PROSPERNet program, looking at sustainability in engineering and built environment disciplines. And then we did a bit of a deep dive looking at the importance of industry engagement for sustainability. This particular research project focuses on circular economy. And our intention is to focus on the grassroots engagement of built environment education and the principles of circular economy it doesn't really matter whether you're speaking about built environment or you're speaking about any other related discipline, whether that's textiles or whether that's supply chain or anything else, because circular economy and sustainability, for that matter, are very systemic in nature. This particular research project was looking at how could we integrate circular economy into built environment educational and other related discipline programs. So we are not looking at starting from scratch or overhauling the curriculum, but to see and to identify opportunities where we could bring in circular economy thinking, circular economy concepts, circular economy ideas, but also demonstrate this with case studies. And to that end, we've got case studies from the 5 countries that have been involved in this project. So just as a reminder, this project is led by RMIT University, but the universities that are part of this project are University of Pedagogy, Sri Lanka, TERI SAS India, Asian Institute of Technology Thailand, and Arabev Kyrgyzstan State University from Kyrgyzstan. So our first webinar focused on circular economy and what it actually means and how can we integrate it. The second webinar looked at the relationship between circular economy and the Sustainable Development Goals. And in particular, the nexus of circular economy sits under SDG 12, which is on responsible consumption and production. This particular webinar talks about the full experience of the case studies, the integration of case studies into the various programs across the 5 universities, what were the experiences of the staff, the students, and the overall learning outcomes. To that end, we have also prepared a teaching and learning guidebook that, of course, we're going to be launching today. So what was the circular economy educational experience at RMIT? We set up a new program. We were very lucky. We set up a new program called BUSM 2652, Circular Economy in the Built Environment. This particular course was offered to 60 scholars from Oricon, which is an international engineering and consulting company, last year. This was offered for the first time, obviously for Oricon scholars, but also first time within RMIT University. And the idea is to use this experience with the Oricon scholars to roll out a circular economy program across the university. We ran this program as a 2-day intensive, and the 2-day intensive basically consisted of 4 sessions. And the 4 sessions were introducing the concept of sustainability and circular economy. So how does it tie in with sustainability? Where are the overlaps? Where are the differences between sustainability and circular economy? And I'm not going to go into that in greater detail. I can talk about that for a few hours. We then looked at circular economy concepts. We looked at principles. We looked at definitions. We looked at the systemic nature of circular economy, and the importance of taking a systematic approach to understand circular economy. We then looked at circular business models, because if we want to transition to circular economy, and the economic part of circular economy really calls us and urges us to look at how can we decouple growth and profits and triple bottom line sort of needs, ESG governance opportunities with the environmental impact. So the various circular business models that were flagged across different industries were all used to demonstrate that you can develop a clear business case for understanding circular economy. And then we looked at, and this was a bit of a gamble, we looked at not just circular economy in the built environment and case studies in the built environment, but we actually looked at circular economy in other industries. And in this example, we actually looked at textiles and what were some of the professional and personal experiences that we as individuals and as learners and as also teachers draw upon from the textile sector, and how does that in turn impact on the built environment sector, and in turn impact on how we as global citizens can approach the context of circular economy. With that, I will now pass you over to Olivia, who will explain about what were the findings of the circular economy education at RMIT. Thank you.
So thanks to Usha for the introductions of the project and also the circular economy education at RMIT. So just give me 1 second. I bring us back to our slides here. So I'm going to talk about the survey result that we conducted to the scholars after attending the course. So we asked scholars about their understanding of circular economy when they complete the course with us, and we got 70% of the scholars stated that they understand clearly and very clearly circular economy concepts. And we have a no answer about not clear or not at all for this question. So to deep dive in their response to this question, we keep asking them about the terms that they use to describe circular economy. So we receive around more than 200 terms that they use to describe circular economy, and we classify them into the themes. So here is the top themes that they use to describe circular economy based on their understanding and their own definitions. So the 3 top terms is about the zero waste and pollution, regeneration, and sustainability. So it's showing that they have the high level of circular economy understanding when they're able to use the different terms to describe circular economy and not interpret circular economy equating with waste reduction and waste management. So we're asking about the 4 sessions that we deliver in the course. So they are very happy with the session 4, and they stated that session 1 was very clear to explain the sustainability and circular economy, as well as the relationship between circular economy and sustainable development goals. While the session 3 is a little bit unclear. So then we're asking about the implementations. 100% of the scholars agree that they will apply circular economy strategies and principles in their personal activities. So they're able to give some example for this as well. So they will reconsider their purchasing habits and the application of the strategies. We should focus on the high order strategies. About the professional activities, there was 95.24% of the scholars agree that they will apply circular economy concepts. It's showing that the scholars was still thinking about how and where they should start to apply circular economy in the built environment. So from our survey, we have 3 key findings. The first one is about the enhancement in their understanding of circular economy, especially the circular economy definition, principles, strategies, and implementation. We also need to improve our circular business models, where we need to align our language with the background of the scholars. And then it is very interesting that we can see the willingness from the scholars to apply circular economic concepts in their daily and professional activities. So from RMIT, we demonstrate the crucial role of the education in facilitating the transition to circularity. So now I hand it over to Avirut to show the circular economy education at Terry SAS.
Hello everyone, my name is Avirut Bhatia and I'm from India. So here I am going to present the experience of including circular economy in our courses at the School of Advanced Studies. And so you can see here we have 3 courses where we included this circular economy in education. So the first course is the ENR 115 Building Energy and Green Buildings. That this course is related to renewable energy engineering and management program, and total 17 students registered for this course, and the students' background were from civil, mechanical, and electrical. And this course was taught by myself and my colleague, Dr. Deepti Jain. And the other course was the MEU 121 Urban Ecology and Environment. And it is related to Urban Development Management Program. And the 4 students registered for that course, and all are from architecture background. And Dr. Deepti taught this course. And the third course is the independent study course, where one student registered, and he was from environmental studies and resource management program, and his background was environmental studies, where Dr. Deepti and myself guided this student. So basic difference between urban ecology and environment and the building energy and green building course. So urban ecology and environment is actually related to urban level. So it talks about the concept of urban ecology and green spaces, biodiversity, conservation, conflict, environmental impact analysis, and material, and all these. And the building energy and green building course is related to building level, where we talk about how to make building green and what are the aspect to for the circular economy we can include in. Next slide, please, Olivia. Yeah, thank you. So here is the teaching pedagogy of for the courses here. So we are having a combination of classroom interactions, tutorial, assignment, site visits, case study, and projects. So we started with classroom interactions with the students. So where we taught about we started with the definition of circular economy in built environment. So we took the definition from the British standards, NIST, ISO, referred to creature paper, potting paper, 10R principles. So first we covered the theory part. Then especially in urban ecology and environment course, where we were having the 4 students from architecture background. So we divided into 2 groups, and we asked them to work on the case studies. So we identified 2 areas in New Delhi National Capital Region. One area was the Karol Bagh area, and other was in Gurugram area. That was a greenfield. So 2 groups started working on a case study project. So students were regularly going to for the site visits, data collection, Student visited many houses that were under construction. They collected the data. They interviewed homeowners there, and this is how we started developing case studies. And Karol Bagh case study we were able to successful complete it, but the other case study, Gurugram on the greenfield, uh, that wasn't complete because of the we were not able to get the full data available. And now uh, uh, then Jayati Grover as a research assistant also joined. Then we actually while preparing the Karol Bagh case study, we visited uh, two waste processing sites where you can see in the photographs. This is the one of the waste processing site is at Gurugram, and other was in New Delhi waste processing site. So we visited there. We interviewed their owner and the government official there. How much waste they are collecting per day? What is the mechanism for collection of waste? So this is only the waste related to construction and demolition waste. This is not the all type of waste. It is only related to C&D waste. And how they are processing this waste and converting into the useful products that can be again reused in different construction environment. So once we are able to, so this UDM course was the first semester course, and we got one case study prepared, fully prepared, and this case study was used in the third semester course that was for the green building course. And so in green building course, there were 17 students were registered, and they are from basically engineering background. They were not from architecture background. So in green building course, we have actually 5 main divisions where we talk about site, water, energy, material, and indoor environmental quality. So the material part, material resources was more connected with obviously the water and energy is also connected, and we taught that also, but material resources part was very much connected, where in green building reference we have the prerequisite related to collection of the recyclable waste. So how the in building we should have the at least 5 different waste collection uh, bins where different type of waste is segregated and how it can be utilized. The other prerequisite is related to the construction and demolition. During construction, whatever waste is generated, how we are segregating it in, we are diverting it from going to the landfills. So we talked about that. Then we talked about the environmental product declaration of the construction material. Then how we can life cycle analysis at the building level. So at this point, when we talked about life cycle analysis, performing life cycle analysis. So the import. So here good thing is that we have the building energy and circular economy. Both things are included. So we have for the finding building energy, we generally make the building information modeling. We make the model of the building. So from there we can actually get uh, the different what material is used and all inventories we can get it from there, and that model we can use for the finding out energy as well as its embodied energy and the life cycle analysis of that uh, building. So by using this, we involved one student that was from environmental resource and environmental science and resource management for developing one more case study. So Jayati also held. We went to the Butterflies NGO Jaunapur building that was newly constructed, and they were having the all architecture plan and the inventory available, and they integrated all the green techniques and the resources in their construction, and it was developed by well-known architect Ashok Bilal. So we were able to get access to all the required data here. So then our student started modeling that. So he has created first building simulation model and export it into life cycle analysis software, and then we are able to convert that case study in the fully case study. And based on that case study, I am happy to say that the student has got admission in PhD now. He is doing PhD in circular economy. Next slide, please, Olivia. So here is the student feedback online surveys and interviews. So because Dr. Deepti and I taught here, so and Ms. Jayati Grover took the online surveys and interviewed the student and the faculty also. So when we asked about student, do you understand circular economy concept after taking this course? So about 31% 6 students were very clearly, and 53% clearly, and somewhat clearly 16%. And when we talked about the name, asked them to name the at least 3 keywords that best describe a circular economy. So here we got, so this is the word map of the keywords they have given. So waste, reuse, recycle, sustainable, reduce, regenerate. So this shows they were able to get the concept of circular economy. And we also talked about, asked about the students where we can enhance and this course. So, so their answer was alignment between circular economy and sustainable development goal. So, although we taught students SDGs, because in theory we have the full course on sustainable development goals, but still students were asking to more alignment between the circular economy and in particular when we taught this course, and circular business models, circular economy supply chains. So they were eager to find out from where we can get the refurbished or this type of material, what are the shops are there, it is good to use or not, because they were not confident whether we can use that or not. And what are the regulatory landscape, and what are different circular technologies. So overall, the feedback received, so students were able to get, and they are using the circular economy concept in their regular life also. And some of the students are pursuing higher studies based on this concept now. So based on the work students have developed, on the basis of that, they got admission in the PhD. So it is evident that the integrating circular economy principles in our sustainable built environment education, we are nurturing the generation of professionals who will drive positive change in the world. Thank you. Over to Dr. Chinara.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. And it is our 3rd webinar, and we are happy to be here with our team. Arabayev Kyrgyz State University, and we are from Kyrgyzstan. We are working at the Geography, Ecology, and Tourism faculty, and we were a part of our team. And we introduced a circular economy concept at 3 universities in Kyrgyzstan here. It is our university, Arabayev Kyrgyz State University, Salimbekov University, International College of IT and Business. And also we introduced the circular economy concept in Kyrgyz Technical University, named after Razakov, for the profile of industrial and civil engineering. Next slide, please. Our courses would teach 2 programs, master programs and bachelor programs. We are introduced circular economy concept at natural science education program for geography profile, and in subject sustainable waste management, and in subject social problems of biology, and in construction program for master programs for the subject reconstruction of an existing buildings. It was 3 subjects at master programs. Next slide. And also we introduced circular economy concept to natural science educations and the subject geography of Kyrgyzstan at Arabayev Kyrgyz University. For us, we didn't develop any special courses on circular economy. We just introduced concept and case studies which we developed in our ongoing subjects. And it was very interesting for our students. And next slide, please. And when we conducted survey with our students, we asked them, was it easy for you to understand the concept of circular economy? And most of the students, they said, they answered that it was not difficult and it was very easy. And very difficult, it was just only 1% of the students who answered for these questions. And we understand that circular economy concept and circular economy principles are very interested and on time subjects to introduce to students in different level and also in different programs. For the questions, please name at least 3 keywords that best describe circular economy. The keywords which are better describe circular economy, it is a 5R. It is reuse, recycling, receiving, refuse, and reduce. Similarity of refusing, reducing, stop trash before it's even created. The keywords, it is recycling, distribution, spreading. And 70% it was equal for answers. It was reuse, recover production, and also receiving products, producing and using. Next slide, please. On the questions, if you apply circular economy, what activities will you do in everyday life? The students answered differently, depending of living. Yeah, here some students from villages, they are living in 1-story buildings, and in the towns they are living in the multi-story buildings. And of course, they have different answers. Choosing an activity that is more applicable. Students paid attention to this process, and they encounter in everyday life waste sorting, reuse and recycling, which are easy to use everywhere and with no any efforts. Next slide, please. In conclusion, we can say that it was very interesting experience for our team to participate in this interesting and long project. We were working for 1 year together, and we have friendship relation between 5 universities in Asia Pacific. And for us, it's very interesting to continue our partnership in the future. And the analysis demonstrates that there was a need to develop a circular economy course for a true understanding of circular economy, introducing circular economy principles into daily life. Next, it is a necessary and introduce it in various specialties related to construction, economy, ecology, and others. And link circular economy and sustainable development goals, goals 12, sustainable production and consumption. For universities, the creation of sustainable campus based on the circular economy is needed to showcase circular economy implementation. And teachers would like to include circular economy principles and practical examples in their courses in the future. Next, it's last slide. I would like to introduce our team. Our team, 6 people who were working in this project. Professor Chuduraev, our dean, faculty dean. Associate Professor Miev Sadekova-Chinara, Associate Professor Solpoeva Damira, she is here, Damira. Associate Professor Dr. Aliyev Erkin. And we have in our team 2 young teachers, it's Tulugonova Gulzat and Bakhtebek Kazenurgoy. And thank you very much for your attention.
Olivia, may I come in?
Yes, come in. Yeah.
Am I audible? Am I audible? Yes, thank you.
Yes, Kamini.
Thank you. All right, good morning to all. I'm Kamani and here to present the Circular Economy Education in the Faculty of Engineering, University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka. We had some parts of courses on circular economy education for postgraduate studies, such as construction and project management and the sustainable built environment. However, we had no opportunity to teach circular economy to undergraduates. There were tiny slots where we teach like economics for undergraduates and like touch upon circular economy concepts, but those were not sufficient for us to like bring out the, as Usha correctly said, bring out the trade-offs between the economy and the environment. So what we did was we introduced a new course on circular economy for engineering last year in 2022. I think because I think internalizing the values early is much better than later. So the introduction process itself took around 1 to 1.5 years because we had to go through many committees, the academic development and planning committee of the faculty, then faculty board, then the university ADPC, Senate and council. And going through all this, we succeeded. And the course was offered as a 3-credit course with 150 notional hours. And at the end of the course, the students were expected to describe the differences between a circular economy and the linear economy, and also like get to know the concepts better, explain the concepts. They were expected to explain. Then for them to build a model of circular economy considering their own industrial exposure during training. Finally, as these were engineering students, reviewing recovery indicators were significant under the expectations of the course. So the first instance, we offered this course to the 5th semester students and only 1 student registered. That itself shows how the engineering students were not exposed to the connection between the circular economy and engineering. They just think that this is another management, because I'm from a department called engineering management. So we offer the complementary courses, and they think that this is just another management course which they have to take as complementary credit requirements. So then we were really upset about this. Then later, luckily, some students from the final semester, that is semester 8, came to me requesting an additional course to cover their complementary studies. I very quickly said, hey, this particular course is open for you all, economy, circular economy. I can open it for you all and take part in that. So I think that was the start. Around 25 students registered. Next slide, please. Yeah, and then the normal activities such as the continuous assessment and semester evaluations were carried out as usual. However, not all participated with the same enthusiasm for the continuous assessments. There were only about 12 students who were interested in the actual concept and started following regularly. They were keen from the beginning, however, later at the final presentation, everyone participated and did wonderful presentations. Actually, I could say that these presentations were beyond our expectation. They were into it and talking about the concept and the higher order, lower order circularity indicators and the recovery indicators, all that. So it was wonderful. Unfortunately, this was offered as an optional course because our complementary studies are mostly going as optional. So the expectation of a student is mostly just to pass a course to get the credit requirement. This is because these courses are not counted for GPA, and it is a pathetic situation. Next slide, please, Olivia. All right, so let me tell you something about the course teachers. Of course, as the coordinator, introducer of the course, was involved in teaching, and my colleague Mahanama helped me with the moderation of the activities. The most interesting part is we got one of our postgraduate participants, Gayani, who was involved in building up the case studies to teach in this course. Because I assumed that the students will be more closer to a fresh graduate than the old us, right? So it was interesting to see how they collaborated with her. They were very fully engaged with her and discussing all aspects and so on. And I plan to engage all the other participants of the postgraduate program who are developing other course cases. We have around 6 cases to the next program. So I'm waiting for that. So can we go to the next slide, please, Olivia? So now let me go through the challenges we encountered in teaching this course. Since most of the students were from mechanical, production, electrical, and chemical engineering backgrounds, the built environment case studies we developed were less effective in motivating them to learn the concepts. We had 6 cases, as I told you earlier, from Sri Lanka itself, and other cases from the other case studies from other countries. But when we were trying to demonstrate, yes. Hello? Anyone wants to connect me? No. All right. So when we're trying to explain with these cases, it was really difficult because their background is different. They were not getting motivated. So what we did was and also one other challenge, we had to offer this course online because there were students from different disciplines, and we couldn't find a slot in the timetable common to all of these people. So we went online. So that was also a bit of a disadvantage. So let you know how we overcame the challenges. We started with very simple examples from their day-to-day activities, such as waste material throwing out from your home environment, to elaborate the concepts. We got them to present their findings online to see whether they were engaged throughout. Then finally, we gave them a challenge project to build a circular economic model for the industry they serve during their industrial training period. So they came out with presentations beyond our expectations, as I told you, identifying all indicators for circular economy. So let me show you some couple of examples. There were about, I think, 10 to 12 cases, but I took 3 to discuss this aspect. Can we go to the next slide, Olivia? Yeah, this was actually on a fuel cell. This guy did this particular project alone, individual project. He actually looked at the fuel cell and the content and what kind of material can be circulated. And actually, I didn't know theory about it because I'm from the civil background. Almost all our teachers were from a background of civil engineering. So he was from electrical engineering, and he was like explaining all the recovery indicators, and it was wonderful. And so next slide, please. Yeah, so this was a case from a mechanical engineering group, and they were speaking about the circulation of shipping containers once they are discarded. They showed how housing units were built to circulate material. The group worked on this project from the beginning. Like they were engaged in the course from the beginning, little by little, they were developing everything, and they came up to the lower order and higher order indicators and the circularity indexes for the project. They had been involved in this activity during their training experience. Next slide, please. The last example I brought to discussion is on clothing material and how the yarn was produced from used clothes in the industry where they were training. So I hope you understand how wonderful it was for us to listen to them, to see how they grabbed the concepts. So we were really happy because I thought the expectation of internalizing the concepts in the students through their own examples were met during the course. So that was our expectation, as I said. Next slide, please. Yeah, finally, the feedback we received highlighted that they were able to go beyond what they knew already. Some of them said that they knew only the concepts like reduce, reuse and recycle, and they like going beyond, they learned a lot of the 10R concepts, 11R concepts, and they were like encouraged to read about all these things and all. And also, like, now I didn't bring out any quantitative data on this because we had a sample of very little, about 25. Quantitative data will be useless on that. So I took the qualitative data, and in fact, most of them said better to make this course a co-course rather than an optional course because it will be very valuable for their future. So thank you so much, and over to Olivia.
Thanks, Kamini. So actually we have another university. We present the circular economy education at RMIT Thailand, but he in a trip to another conference. So we skip this presentation and then we go to the Q&A section. So I hand it over to Dr. Park.
Thank you, Olivia. Hello, my name is Chung-hee Park. I'm the Head of Innovation and Education Program at UNUIS, which is the Secretariat of the ProsperNet network. And I'm very happy to be here as part of the launching event of the guidebook. Before we launched the guidebook, we just listened to all the authors about their experiences in teaching like impact of this circular economy in their own respective institutions. So now I would like to open the floor to all the participants and audience to ask any questions to any authors. You can raise your hand using the raise icon. Okay, so while we are waiting for those questions, we are going to ask some of the questions that you know, the authors and us actually internally discussed before. So I actually would like to ask first, Chinara from the Kyrgyzstan. I guess there might be some kind of language barriers in your country in terms of using this circular economy concepts and strategies. Could you please introduce or share with us what are the challenges, language challenges especially, that you faced by teaching staff when you deliver the circular economy concepts to your students?
Yes, thank you very much for questions. And yeah, we have problems with language issues, and because we are here speaking in two languages, Russian and Kyrgyz. And project was going in English. And when we prepared our case studies, it was first prepared in Russian, and then we translated it in English, and then we sent it to RMIT and to others, our colleagues. And also for us, it wasn't difficult to work here in our local languages, but all materials which we received from our colleagues, we translated it in local languages. And of course, for us, it was difficult because no many people are speaking English in our team. And for me, it was difficult also when we participated all our webinars. And we have our meetings weekly, once in a week, during a project. For our teachers, to them to understand what is going on and how we are going to work. But we were good in this case, and now we are very happy that we were a part of this team. And now we also translated our guidebook, which we prepared to Russian and to Kyrgyz, because we would like to adopt this guidebook, circular economy guidebook, in our faculty, also at our university. And for us, it was additional job and additional work, and we didn't include the translation at our budget. And of course, it was like volunteering job for us. But we are also so proud that we did this job. And thank you very much for UNUIS and ProsperNet Secretariat that they give us possibilities to work together. And we hope that our partnership and our collaboration will be prolonged in the future, and we will find some different ways to work together. And maybe in the future, our team can visit at our country, and maybe we can visit them. And we hope that our partnership will be successful in the future. And it's already successful, our partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Chinara. Actually, that's what I was going to say. Actually, the partnership seems already be very successful. And I mean, the concept of circular economy is quite new. I mean, at least to me, as a non-expert in circular economy, non-expert in the built environment, actually, it's very new to me. And I'm actually wondering how my home country, Korea, would translate the circular economy in their own language. So I was very curious about how you overcame the circular economy in your institute for your students, and I think it was brilliant that you translate whole guidebook into Russian. And I heard also from the PI, principal investigator Usha, that you are also planning to translate it into Kyrgyz. So it's a really, really good news, great news. Thank you very much. The second question goes to Kamani. And we would like to ask, what are the key challenges that you faced in using built environment case studies to enhance the circular economy understanding of your engineering students?
Yeah, as I explained, Dr. Park, this we had the undergraduates who joined for this course. They were from different backgrounds, that is electrical, chemical, mechanical, and production backgrounds. So the case studies we built, they were from built environment, which is from a civil background. So we had a lot of challenges because they were not interested, they were not keen on those cases very much. So what we had to do is we had to look into very simple examples from their home environment, as I explained. Where throwing out some thing from their home into the environment, take it and see how to circulate that, and see what are the things that are available at the higher order needs, that is rethinking about alternatives, or lower order needs about circulation, where to hand over the product, the waste and all that. Like we were getting them to look at concepts in a very simple way. Then it was okay, and then they were able to apply the concepts into their own industrial exposure, which was from different fields. As I showed in my examples, the yarn, for example, taking the old clothes and making yarn out of it. Well, some people, some students were engaged in that kind of activities in the industry. So immediately they related this particular thing to their industry exposure. And they were able to very quickly develop models for their business environment, that is their industrial exposure on the circular economy concepts, from the higher to lower order concepts. That is, we basically use the 10R concepts developed by Kramer. And this particular thing, they were very able to, very quickly they grabbed, and they were applying it to their industry exposure. Did I answer your question?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes. Okay,
actually, during your presentation, I was very impressed that you, as an effort to explain this difficult concept or new concept of circular economy to engineering students, actually you started from very easy daily life examples. And then from there, you build up the understanding of more complex concepts. So that was really,
exactly.
really great example.
Truly speaking, we didn't have to build up the complex ones. They are the ones who built it up, and we were surprised to see how deep they went into these concepts.
Right, great. Yeah, thank you very much. I think that actually gives us good lessons for how to overcome this the concept. I mean, explain this new concept or difficult concept of circular economy to different areas, different disciplines. I think that actually answers to the question raised by one audience, Pierre Cocheri. I hope this answered your question as well. The next question is for Dipti, and the question is about now data. So if you are lacking some data from stakeholders, what kind of challenges you need to consider when conducting circular economy case studies?
Yeah, so Dr. Dipti is not available, so I would like to answer this question. So when we conduct case studies in context to circular economy, the availability of data and the quality of data plays a very crucial role. And if we have the limited or incomplete information available, then it will make difficult to analyze the full impact of project. It is difficult to identify key drivers and understand underlying mechanism of the system being studied. So to address this challenge, it is essential to employ alternative research methods and data collection strategies. And so this may involve secondary data sources, employing qualitative research techniques like interviewing and focus group interviews, conducting surveys and questionnaire, and at last explore additional case studies. So in our case, the TERI School of Advanced Studies, we started with 2 case studies, and we were able to get data only for full data only for the one case study. So then we started with 2 more case studies. So actually we worked on the 4 case studies, but out of that 4, only 2 were complete case studies. So the Karol Bagh case studies and the butterfly case studies. Yeah, so for the butterfly case study, we were able to get data and we were able to complete it. So we also floated online surveys to get the responses from architects. What is their understanding of currently and how if they are using this tool or circular economy integration in their projects or not. So yeah, this is how we adopted alternative approach, and one can go like that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think Dr. Abaruch, right? Just explaining
Yes,
how how the researcher can overcome the limited data from case studies by alternating and kind of expanding the pool of the cases, and then in the end you can at least complete 1 or 2 case studies. So I think that was a good tips for the researchers. The next question is actually very related to my own interest as well. So next question is for Subhana. And we would like to know how we can develop and enhance the qualification of a teaching staff to deliver this circular economy course.
Thank you, Dr. Park. Hi, everyone. I'm Subarna from the University of Nottingham. I'm from the School of Education. That's a very, very, very interesting question. And I don't think, 1 or 2 minutes is enough to discuss it, because when we talk about qualifications, there's so many layers of it. And I think what's important is if we as educators want to introduce circular economy concepts within teaching and learning, I think the first thing is in the institution itself should give us the autonomy to be creative with the curriculum. We've listened from all our friends here today about the challenges that they have faced in incorporating and integrating circular economy. So I think the first step is, before we even talk about qualifications, we need to talk about institutional support to discuss, important issues like circular economy, in fact. Now, the other thing I think is also important is professional development for staff. So we cannot have all staff going out there and getting PhDs in circular economy. That's kind of ridiculous, right? But I think through professional development of our staff, that's where we can get them more in tune and in line with, competences to deliver circular economy concepts. And when I talk about circular economy, it does not necessarily have to be circular economy from the perspective of the built environment or only related to engineering, but I think it should be interdisciplinary, working across different disciplines. And giving our teaching staff this opportunity to experience teaching or even learning within contexts that are different or alien to them, I think is very important, because sustainability is all about working across disciplines and trying to integrate information from various disciplines into solving issues. The other thing I think is also very important is to be able to collaborate with industry. And this is one thing I think institutions of higher learning are not getting very right. In Malaysia, for example, I think I can talk only from the Malaysian perspective, because I've been within this industry for about 20 over years. I think we are still very behind universities. When we talk about critical issues like climate change, sustainability, circular economy for that matter, lecturers, teaching staff, unfortunately, are not at par with what's happening with the industry at the moment. So I think if we, get industry to play a more active role with curriculum development that we do, not only industry for that matter, engaging with NGOs, engaging with social enterprises that have been working in this area, integrating these into the curriculum, getting them into the conversation, bringing them into lectures, as adjunct lecturers. I think these will all help us, in fact, as teachers and educators, Dr. Park. And last but not least, developing communities of practice, I think, is very important. We are all seated today together. I think we are a community of practice. Right, Usha, since the start of this project till now, we've been together for almost nearly a year, and we've built this community. And I think to enhance this community, bringing in people or external stakeholders from the industry, from the NGOs, and even the social enterprises that I mentioned just now, I think these could all help enhance our ability or our competences to deliver CE more strategically and more effectively, I feel. I hope that answered the question.
Yes, you did. You did. Indeed, the K-12 education teachers are actually getting a lot of continuous professional development opportunities. But when it comes to university teaching staff, it's actually our own effort, or very, voluntary, or we have to make our own intentional effort to get this kind of professional development and update the contents of every single thing that is emerging every day or every hour. So it's actually very important to have that kind of mindset of continuous development of our knowledge and pedagogies, and especially this circular economy is a great example of the emerging demands of the professional development of university teaching staff.
And all right, another thing which it's a general thing.
So
I came across this, like.
Excuse me, I think somebody is open the microphone. Yeah, okay, great. So before we take a group photo, let's ask the last question. So we have a group photo, so please don't leave. We will have the last question before we have a group photo. So last question is to the PI, Usha. You have been doing this great project with 5 different universities around the Asia Pacific region. And based on the teaching and learning experience from these multiple diverse universities, what do you think is the role and significance of circular economy case studies in the circular economy education?
Yeah, thanks very much, Dr. Park, and I hope you can all hear me okay. Yeah, the approach that we took, maybe I should just take a step back and explain. This is our 3rd ProsperNet project, and the first 2 projects that we worked on, we really looked at curriculum, but from a very broad perspective. We looked at curriculum for engineers. We looked at the importance of education and the importance of bringing in industry participation into the teaching and learning process. And this sort of turned out to be a natural progression from those 2 main pieces of work that we did. And it was, how do we bring in the understanding, but not from a perspective of looking at what I call parachuting case studies, or parachuting or cutting and pasting approaches. So really, in order to embed knowledge and to embed the learning, it has to be meaningful from a contextual perspective, and particularly from a built environment, from a climate perspective, from the local approaches that I use, the management techniques, the project management techniques, the approaches that I use in terms of facility management, etc. So bringing that localization is really, really important, because construction practices vary so much, our climates vary so much, the types of building materials that we use. I think, we're moving more and more into singular use of globalized supply chains and very globalized building materials, but that's not good for circular economy. So that's the reason why we started to look at case studies, and we really want studies that were would be meaningful for the local students, for the local teaching staff, and would respond to the culture, to the climate, and to the context within that particular country. And we know, about intentions today, we know that they're not necessarily the best practice when it comes to circular economy, and it doesn't necessarily always think about, we don't always refuse or rethink or refurbish or reuse, but we have got a lot of information around recycling, and particularly about how we can try and reduce the construction and demolition waste. So using that as a starting point and understanding that, we can try and build on our knowledge and build on not just knowledge from a curriculum perspective, but also knowledge from a teaching perspective, teacher learning perspective, from a professional development perspective, and of course that then impacts the students as well as the industry. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Usha. It was a very comprehensive explanation of how you went about this teaching and learning experiences to include the case studies of all over the Asia Pacific region to the curriculum for circular economy. Thank you very much again for all the authors for your great presentations. And we are about to launch officially the guidebook, but before that, let's take a group photo. I think we are now here about 27 people in the room. And is Olivia taking a photo? Who's taking a photo? Could you please open your camera if you are able to? Olivia, are you taking a photo? Screenshot?
Sorry,
Maybe
not
give
yet.
us a warning first.
Yeah, I will do it now. Yes. So 1, 2, 3. And then one. We might do another one together. 1, 2, 3. Yes, all good now. Thanks so much. Dr. Ba, I think we can move to the next section, the book launch.
Yeah, my microphone was muted. Yes, thank you very much, Olivia, and everyone for your cooperation. So now we are officially launching the guidebook developed by the joint project of 5 universities of ProsperNet. And yes. Am I yeah, okay, good. So I was going to actually show this website. So this is a ProsperNet website hosted by UNU-IAS. And if you go to the current project, you can see this project title. And then if you see the project overview, background, and then output, if you click the output button, then you can see the guidebook. So you can download your guidebook here. And then you can see this beautiful guidebook, downloadable for free, of course. Right. So this is actually, and also as Professor Chinara just mentioned, that this is already translated into Russian. And then we are looking forward to having another language versions of different languages of this guidebook. Because if you move to the next slide, please. Because this guidebook is really, how can I say, very relevant to everyone, actually. It's not just for the professionals of built environment or professionals of circular economy. It can be used by anybody, actually, to have your enhanced understanding of the circular economy and, if you will, to promote its implementation in both personal and professional activities. We are very proud of this product as the Secretariat of ProsperNet. This project was funded by the Ministry of Environment of Japan, and the donor actually would like to see this kind of more tangible outputs, and especially the outputs that can be used by a lot of different stakeholders and also members of a ProsperNet and beyond. It also provides a brief introduction of circular economy definition, paradigms, principles, strategies, and case studies. I was very interested to see 5 case studies from 5 different countries, from very much technical and advanced cases of like asphalt or the built environment, to the easy to understand cases like how to manage the rural waste. So it was really, really good cases from 5 different countries, and it can be applicable and adaptable to any of your context, especially the higher education context. So I'll now hand it over to Subhana to introduce the feedbacks from the students and experts.
Thank you, Dr. Park. So just to loop on what Dr. Park mentioned, so the case studies that are featured in this guidebook, some of the choice case studies that the team worked on. In fact, there are more than 5 case studies, but we are unable to feature all of them in this guidebook. But should you want further information about the other cases, if you're interested to read about those cases, feel free to get in touch with Usha, and she'll be able to connect you to the team. Yeah. So before this guidebook was published, yeah, we went through a very, very intense process of review. Yeah, and we had reviews from 10 circular economy experts, and also experts from higher education, teaching and learning, and administrators with teaching and learning to give it a balanced view. And we had reviews coming in from Australia, India, Kyrgyzstan, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, as well as Japan. So a very intense review process and very global review process, so to say. Yeah. So what did we ask the reviewers to look at when they read the guidebook? We asked them to look at the potential of the guidebook to assist with teaching of circular economy concepts in higher education. We asked them to look at the flow, ease of use, and also to see if, what has been achieved and what can be improved, and also the value in developing an extension to the guidebook. So the 4th point now is really very, very important, because if Olivia, you can go to the next slide. Yes, so we looked at this final point very, very finely, because what's next after the guidebook, right? So you have beautiful case studies. How can you implement these case studies in your teaching and learning? So should there be something else next after this? And we have reviewers, providing us feedback on the need for probably a textbook, a circular economy textbook, which can be used across all the different countries. Yeah, so just picking out a few of the feedback comments given from India. I strongly believe that some mathematical or statistical analysis alongside the region-specific case studies could add value more to the students' knowledge. In future, coming up with a wider document or textbook could be a good idea. Another one from Japan, expand case studies to support the readers to replicate them. So obviously a textbook would be very, very useful in this case. I don't think I will go through the other feedback here, but I've put those choice words in bold to emphasize, I think, the need for us to look into the next stage of this project, in fact, which is coming up with a textbook. And if Dr. Park and Prosper.net, have the funds for us to do this, we would be very, very grateful. Yeah. So moving on, Olivia, to the next slide. Yes, so to wrap up, I would like to pass the session on to the PI, Dr. Usha. Go ahead, Usha.
Well, thanks very much. And we've come to the end of our third and final ProsperNet webinar associated with this project. Firstly, I'd like to start off by thanking a wonderful team. It was not an easy process, as I'm sure all the people that are here from the partner investigation team are going to say. We had very regular meetings. We had little funds, but we produced a lot. So let me first start by thanking UNU IAS for their support in this project. And then I'd like to thank the team. So Chinara and her wonderful team of Kyrgyz partners in Kyrgyzstan. I'd like to thank Aviruch and Deepthi for their support from Terry SAS. I would like to thank Kamini and her students, her staff, many of whom were involved in various stages of the project. Really appreciate the level of support that we received from University of Peradeniya in Sri Lanka. I'd also like to thank Dr. Pal and his team from Thailand, from AIT in Thailand. And of course, I would like to thank Olivia, who has held the fort a number of times. So a big thank you to Olivia, who has been a very supportive researcher as a postdoc, and no doubt will continue. And I think I've got her really interested in circular economy and sustainability education. So this is an area that I think she's going to continue to work on in the future. So thank you all. I'd like to also, in some respects, I feel, say that in some respects, our work is actually just beginning. We have tipped our toes in the water of circular economy, and we have realized how much we don't know, how much we have to learn, how much we have to teach, and how much more knowledge we have to amass. So I think from that perspective, this has been an absolutely wonderful project for us to know where we're at, what we need to know, and where we need to go. I think it is pretty clear that out of this initial pilot, that the value of circular economy education, and of course we looked at built environment, but people like Subarna and Chinara will tell you, and also this was confirmed by Dr. Park, that it's not just built environment. So really, we need to think about this sort of intersectoral, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary approach, because that's the only way we can collaboratively understand the confines of the resources that we have in this planet and take it to the next step in terms of finding policies, programs, and various types of approaches across all industries to enable us to get to the circular economy transition that we're all seeking. So from that angle, I think there is a lot of work for us to do. We realized that even though this was a small project, there was a lot of learning that we can still nevertheless get out of such a small project. And the value add of this for students, for the teaching staff, and for the universities involved, I think has been absolutely fantastic. I think we also realize that we have not really embarked on the higher order transitions to circular economy. So we're still very much talking about recycling. We're talking about, higher orders such as repurposing, refurbishing, rethinking is still a long way for us to go. So it is pretty clear also that, especially from the input through Chinara and her team, that, while we have been discussing all this in English and using English as a common language, if we have to actually reach a wider audience, we have to speak in the language that audience understands. And that language is not just, the language of the state or that region, but also, making it jargon free. And Dr. Park, the point that you made about the importance of research translation. So this was research, but it was also important to translate this research and share the translation, which we did in the form of the guidebook. So I think that's really important. So in terms of scholarly and academic outputs, we've got a paper already under review. There's another paper that the team has been working on. There are 2 conferences that the team has already put abstracts for, and one of that is a conference in the US, another one is a conference in Sri Lanka, and then there's another paper that we're also planning to do once. So 3 papers, 2 conference papers, 3 journal papers, and of course 3 webinars and the guidebook. So I think it has been an absolutely wonderful set of outputs out of this project. Thanks to the team that's here today. So once again, I'd like to say thank you very much. Apologies that I could not join at the start of the session, but I'm here, and we will continue to work together. We will continue to talk to each other. We will continue to work on this community of practice that we have developed. So thank you all once again. Do reach out to us if you need further information. The guidebook is already on the website, but if there's anything else that people want to follow up with either myself or the rest of the team, do get in touch, and wish you all a very good day. Go ahead and be circular. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Usha, and thank you, Dr. Park.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.